This is the Ink Pray Love podcast. We talk all things health, wealth, and community connection. Let's go. All right, welcome back to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I got someone special to me on this one. This is my homie Gerard Adams. Y'all know him. And what I love about him is he's built businesses. He's a successful human, but he went from building Daily Mail, selling it for 50 million to then now carving out the new generation of leaders, like conscious leaders here to make the world a better place. And that's why I originally was like, I got to hang out with this guy. We had a bunch of mutual friends. I was seeing his content. I was seeing him pop up in a bunch of my close friends' spaces. And I was like, I need to know this guy. This guy's a homie already, and I want to know what he's about. So I went to Leaders Create Leaders, and that's his forum, his emporium, his space for people to get together and level up and connect as leaders. And that single-handedly brought me so many other connections and business opportunities from the people coming together. And so today I want him to give a little mini masterclass, a talk about leadership. This is the DILF of the year. He's a new daddy, so I thought that would be hilarious to say that. Gerard, thank you for coming. How you doing?
Oh, dude, I love it, man. Honestly, that's it, bro. That's it. Like, take me now, bro. DILF of the year. That's got to be the best compliment, man. I love it, dude. So funny, man. I love that about you. You bring such humor, and I'm, hoping that we can definitely have, if you're listening to this, just have some fun on this episode and get real, get raw, get practical, but also just have fun, man. And you always bring that essence, that playful essence, man, and bring such a smile to my face. And every person you meet, dude, I'm just like, of course I would do this podcast because it's just so awesome connecting with you, bro. You're such a humble, fun, and someone who also just like makes things happen. You know, I'm witnessing you as an entrepreneur, just going out there and experimenting with so many different business models. But it's just like who you be on that journey, though, that I'm just like, yeah, this guy is the real deal. And that's what I like to surround myself with. So yeah, bro, thank you so much for having me on the show.
I love that. Thank you. That was very heartwarming. And speaking of making things happen, so we were going to have this podcast, and then it was like, oh, maybe it won't work out. Maybe it will work out today. And then it did. And I was across the city, and I have I just had surgery this last week. So my foot's in a boot, and I was driving this Benz with my left foot. And I was like, oh, I got to go jump on a podcast. And driving across the street with my left foot, a little dangerous, but I'm doing it very well and responsibly. I wasn't going fast or speeding or anything like that. But it was like an interesting thing. I was like, okay, I got to go do this podcast with Gerard Adams and drive on my left foot across the city. Make things happen. This is what you got to do.
Yeah.
But I wanted to jump in first with the people that don't know a little bit about your story. And I'm sure you've told it many times, but maybe there's a new way that how you feel today, how you want to speak it. But let people know a little bit of how you became the guy you are in this seat, who you are now.
Thanks, bro, for the opportunity. I realize, and if you're listening to this too, like maybe you felt like, oh, does my story even really matter? Or maybe you feel like you've told it a million times. And recently it's actually been one of the things that I have just realized. I was just like, man, like your story like is so sacred, it's so special, and you can never tell it enough. It's ever evolving, and so just the opportunity for me to open up about it is really cool. Because I know there's definitely people out there that just don't know my backstory, and so I'm not going to go into the whole long. Documented version, but I will just, like you mentioned, like what feels true today. And for me, one of the things I can say is I was really blessed to have such an amazing foundation of family. My mom and dad are just so important to me, and I know not everybody is blessed to have a mother and a father, and for me to be able to have both parents that just loved me and mentored me. It just really set me up. And so I just owe so much to them. I also have two beautiful sisters that I know, my younger sister, Monica,
She's dope.
and yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah.
And
So
we're
cool.
so close, and she supports with our retreats, and she's been involved in my ecosystem. My older sister is just a badass. She inspired me growing up so much, bro. I used to like go downstairs and in the basement where her room was and just be like, man, I just want to be like her. She would always be doing artistic crafts, and she would always be dyeing people's hair all different colors. And that's probably why a lot of times I like to test out different colors. It's
Yeah.
about that time soon here. But I just, at a young age, I had this entrepreneurial spirit. I was constantly looking for different hustles, whether I was like hustling shirts from Mark Echo that my boy's dad worked and got him off the truck, to selling weed, to fake IDs, to, even when I was even younger, like baseball cards, basketball cards, all types of stuff, man. I was always figuring lollipops. I mean, it was always something. Right.
Yeah.
And so like, I didn't know that was setting me up to be an entrepreneur, but it was just something that naturally I loved. I went to art school as a kid, so I was really passionate about art. And I just felt like an outcast. I felt like an underdog because I just wasn't able to get good grades and get into certain classes as a young kid. The AT is what they called it in the States. And a lot of kids I knew like got into better classes and they got first string in sports. I wasn't that great at sports. And I just always felt different. And I ended up getting like super bullied as a kid. Chased. I was either getting ditched by kids or jumped by kids. Chased home with bats, snuck all the time, and just like punched. I don't know what it was, as a kid, but it was tough, and it really took a toll on me where I felt like I wasn't gonna make it. I felt like I was gonna become this failure, and that kind of led me into a gang life, that led me into selling drugs, and led me into a moment in time where I was surrounded by cops doing a drop off. And in this moment, it was just like, woo, woo, cops surrounding me. And in that moment, I was like, this is it. I'm going to jail. 17. I was just like, I'm going to get locked up and become that failure. And in that moment, somebody was committing Grand Theft Auto right in front of me. And they just gave me a second chance in that moment. The cop was like, no, it's not him. It's this car in front of him. They were like, kid, get out of here. And in that moment, pulling away, bro, I just felt like I had a guardian angel, which is my grandmother. She passed away of cancer when I was really young, 12, 13. And that really impacted me in a big way because she was my best friend. She was the person that always spoke to me and told me, I'm different. They don't understand you, but you're going to be great one day. And when she died, I felt like a piece of me died too. And that day I felt like my grandma Vera was getting me a second chance. And that's when I decided to channel my hustle spirit from hustling on the streets and using those street smarts to start learning about business, leveraging the internet. I fell in love with the internet. I think our generation is really unique, Aren, because like, we had the birth of the internet. Like I literally remember being a kid where the internet didn't really exist. And all of a sudden we had this dial up, net zero,
Totally.
AOL, all of a sudden Nextel phones,
Yeah.
thinking we're cool with the Nextel, who had the Nextel,
Yeah.
and then all of a sudden the birth of iTunes and
Yeah.
iPhones, and like we were just like part of that era, man. And I just was all in. I just fell in love with this game of the internet, and got a mentor at a young age that taught me how to build online communities, how to build an email list, how to trade stocks. And this was a young dude that ended up getting in like 60 Minutes, young millionaire, got a ton of publicity. And I was lucky enough to become like a fly on the wall and become an intern. And he taught me so much, and that changed my life forever, man. I dropped out my first semester, built my first online community called Stock Spot. It was a community for stock traders that led me to more mentors in my life, but that ended up leading to an agency that I helped small cap publicly traded companies to get awareness. That was my first 8-figure company by 24. Lost it all, being, just someone who didn't really understand how to respect money, I guess you can say, just all the cars,
Mhm.
penthouses, all the things. But like it got taken from me when the economy crashed. And my mom was the one who inspired me to bounce back. She was the one who said, you know what, G, like they can take everything away from you externally, but they'll never take this. They'll never take. And she pointed to her head and to her heart. And she was like, so go out back out there and do it again. And she told me a story of immigrating to this country with nothing from Colombia. My mom's Colombian and on my father's side, Italian. And my grandparents on my father's side immigrated to America to give us a chance. And my mom immigrated from Colombia, and she just told me like what she went through, like coming to this country with absolutely nothing. And even whatever they did have, it burnt in a fire. And so she just like with tears in her eyes told me this story that I had never known. And here I am at like 24. I was a first millionaire in my family, but then lost it all and felt so ashamed and felt like such a, oh my God, how did I fuck this up?
Mhm.
And my mom told me that story, and she was like, so you get out there and you do it again. And that's what led me to taking another chance at my dreams of giving a voice to a generation, which then became Elite Daily, the number one online publication in the United States, 80 million readers per month, and then selling that in 2015. And that's at that moment, this was when I was like, well, I'm not losing it again, like, so I started really asking more tough questions as to, God, why did this happen? What do you want me to do going forward? And that's what led me to Leaders Create Leaders. That's what led me to start thinking about my identity beyond that business world and what is my purpose. And then ever since, for the last 7 years, I've been dedicated to creating leaders on the planet.
I love this. Wow, so much to touch on. Thank you for sharing all that. That's boss. We had so many similarities in growing up as well. I got bullied like crazy. That's when I got into drugs and gangs and all this stuff, and then just wanted to be a baller. I was hood rich at a young age, very very irresponsible with money, the cars and all the bullshit, and then had to find myself. But
Yeah.
I respect you so much for going and taking it to really, really high levels. I think I said Daily Mail. I don't know where I got that from. My bad.
Daily Mail is the company that acquired us.
Oh, okay. So I didn't mess it
Yeah.
up totally. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
And it's
good.
close, man. You got the daily part, Elite Daily, Daily Mail. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Daily Mail was our acquirers. So
Okay.
close.
That's super cool, bro. I love that. And I feel like you having a mentor to shine on you, to give you so much that shaped you, like that feels like a chord that I could see why you're helping leaders become leaders in a better way because of how much value you got from that. Because
Mm.
my first mentor was my first martial arts teacher, and I was like hood rat kid, needed structure, left a drug dealing gang because it was just too crazy. But then I had no friends, and I was getting, I was just like a target after that point. And this gym took me in, and I had a strong mentor that showed me what's up. And that was really, like, I needed that. Now I know how much power that is to actually pass on in a responsible way. And I really see that in you. And when I
Mm.
did Leaders Create Leaders, how you held space, that was really
Mm.
a beautiful experience just to be in. It was so cool, just the people that it brought in. And I think the power of bringing a community together, because I'm good friends to this day now with a bunch of the people that were in those retreats. Like globally, we hang out and meet them places. It's really cool to see that, right?
Mm.
What was that transition like? What was the intention first off for Leaders Create
Mm.
Leaders?
Yeah, bro. Thank you so much for asking. And bro, you hit the community, man. Like that's what it's about, It's about relationships. I just wouldn't be where I'm at today without the people in my life that have supported me. And if you're listening to this, you're one relationship away from changing the trajectory of your entire life. And a lot of times we meet those people, but are we aware of it? A lot of us are just not even present to that person that can bring you that next opportunity and that can change your life completely. And we're just one degree away from that person
Mm-hmm.
that can change your life. And it's just having the humility and having the awareness and presence to just treat people with love and respect. And like, I'm just a student, bro. Like, no matter what, even though I've had exits and I built multi-million dollar business, all these things, like I don't I think a lot of times we put leaders on pedestals, and I think we have an opportunity as a collective to humble ourselves. There's been so many people that have come before us that we're we're standing on the shoulders of giants, and people who have sacrificed and have passed down old philosophy, and I really respect the people that have set me up. I respect the mentors in my life, but I feel like everybody in my community teaches me. It's kind of like being a dad. It's like, yeah, I'm Skyla, my daughter's like father, but like, man, I see how much she teaches me every day. And so I'm just so grateful for leaders that come into my community, and supporting them, but also just being humble to also learn from them as I'm building this. Because this ecosystem of creating leaders is something that's ever evolving, and I'm constantly looking at new ways
Mm-hmm.
to help these leaders to expand, to learn, to grow. And it's really about the community. And the way it happened was like, I never thought that it was going to become this this ecosystem, so to speak. For me, it was this passion of storytelling. I've always been a storyteller at heart. And when my company sold, and that's what we did. We did 80 to 100 articles every day. I was like, man, like I want to create a new outlet for this way of expression. And I had such a passion for learning from others. I was like, all right, there's people that are vlogging, there's people launching podcasts, but how can I set myself up differently as a creator? And that's when I just sat and observed the just the landscape of personal branding, and people becoming thought leaders. And I was like, no one's really doing a documentary series behind the scenes of these leaders' lives, artists, creators, leaders, entrepreneurs. And so for me, I sat in a room one day, and I was sitting with my brother, Digital Jeff, who had flown in and asked to interview me. And I noticed he was like an amazing filmmaker. And I was like, bro, I want to create a docu-series. And we just sat on that whiteboard and planned out an entire series. And for me, that was it. Like I just started traveling the world, 6 seasons of documenting leaders' lives behind the scenes, and giving people insight as to how did they discover purpose? How did they discover their path? How did they create success into their lives and fulfillment? And it was such a passion. But what I realized was like, wow, just naturally through that content, I was creating influence. I was creating community. I was creating connection. And so all of a sudden, dude, I was like, whoa, like I would be all over the world. I mean, I'll never forget the moment that I was in Israel at the Great Wall, getting ready to put a prayer in the wall. And this little Jewish boy with a yarmulke like taps me on the shoulders. He's probably 15 years old. He's like, hey, are you Gerard? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh my God, I love your show. Leaders create leaders. And I just, in that moment, was just like, holy shit, like this show is really making an impact.
Cool.
And that happened in London, in Bali, in Thailand. It happened everywhere that people were watching the show pre-pandemic. And that's when I was like, wow, we have something really special. And at the end of each and every episode it's all on YouTube, I would always say, it's more than just a show, it's a movement. And that's when I just decided, I was like, right around the time that shit started hitting the fan, the pandemic
Mm-hmm.
and Black Lives Matter. And we're just seeing all this, all this stuff coming to the surface, especially here in the United States. I just realized I started having private events, like really exclusive private events, these mastermind events, and having deep conversations about what's happening on the planet. What are the serious problems that are happening, and how do we as leaders go out and solve them? And then that's when it really inspired me to start taking this sense of community, bringing it to the forefront, to really help inspire and create a place where leaders can come together. We can work on becoming the best version of ourselves, and we can support each other in this huge collective mission to create a better world for our future generations, for us to discover our purpose, and us to support each other, because it can be really lonely. And I've been there where it's like, I've been going out and building my business and launching things, And I've been a lone wolf, and I just know that like having a wolf pack, man, it's a game changer. And
Mm-hmm.
just like I feel like the future of companies are communities. And so that's when I just started to start having these retreats. I love putting on experiences and make them really unique. And
Dude, you totally
yeah.
did that. We were in a cave together at a concert in a cave, and I was like, "Are we seriously here right now?" And that was crazy. You threw that one together,
Yeah.
like surprised everybody, and we went into a concert in an underground cave. What are those called again? With the water? What do you call them?
Cenotes, yeah.
Cenotes. Yeah,
Cenotes.
that was wild. That blew my
Yeah,
mind.
man.
That was
Yeah.
crazy.
The inspiration for that was from the movie Matrix Reloaded. There's a scene
Mhm.
in the Matrix where like everyone is just jumping up and
I know
down
that
and
scene.
like
Yeah,
sweating and like
yeah,
it's this underground party, right? Of
yeah,
all these people that have woken the fuck up, right? That are like
totally.
broken through the Matrix. And for me, that scene gave me such inspiration of like creating events where we are all liberated, man, and we're just like jamming, celebrating life, but also at the same time, we're the leaders that are going out there and breaking people from being so trapped
Yeah.
in and conditioned into the systems that are no longer serving us. And so, man, that's where that inspiration came from.
I love that. And I wanted to ask you, furthermore, since you've seen all these amazing leaders, globally, what makes a great leader to you? And in today's world, how did that change? And what does it mean today? Maybe a couple of years ago is different, post pandemic, pre pandemic, whatever. Did that change what a leader is? And yeah, what are the attributes that are you're like, this is a great leader?
Yeah, it's a great question, brother. And, something that I think about and I ask so many leaders that I'm surrounding myself with and
Mm.
interviewing. And so I appreciate the question. And when I sold my company, and I was on a balcony and I was praying to God about like, why did this happen and what's next? And truthfully, like this idea of purpose never really came in, at any point in time in there. And before I was 30 years old and building businesses, like it was more of like what's exciting and wanting to build something big, but I didn't understand this idea of like doing something that was so innately my why and beyond the money or any kind of specific external validation. It's something that's just like really a burning desire internally. And so I think a great leader is asking the tough question as to like what is my purpose, and dedicating themselves to something bigger than themselves. And prior to Leaders Create Leaders, I think a lot of my work that, the thing is like the hustle works, bro. Like, we can have a lot of success. We know a lot of people, man, that just have a lot of that external success, but I don't feel that that is the true measure of success. It's that in the internal fulfillment that matters, and the impact that we create on this planet. And so for me, I think a great leader has the attributes of leading from the heart, leading from a place of purpose, leading from a place of impact. How am I devoting myself to something bigger than me and actually making change and transforming and creating an impact in others? There's a level of devotion, of dedication to that mission. And yeah, I think humility, bro. I think again, like there's a lot of leaders out there that can get caught just getting caught in the hype, especially with social media. And it's like humble warriors, like a true leader is one that doesn't need to be on that stage. Like if you noticed at my retreat, I didn't feel the need to be the star. I'm about being a star maker at this point in time. Recently I did a reel. This was inspired by one of my mentors, and he talks about the journey from going from the hero to the servant. We all know that hero's journey, but there comes a time where it's like you've been the hero. It's time to be the servant, and that's where I'm at. I think a great leader is a servant. He knows how to lead from the front, but also knows how to be in the back, knows how to actually be in front of the altar, but also knows how to be behind the altar as well, and is humble, but also has the courage to lead first. And It's something that I'm still learning every day, bro. I'm still crafting
Mhm.
like how I can become a better leader every day.
Yeah, it's an ongoing thing, and then new things emerge in our lives, like having a baby or pandemics or just stuff, and then it's like, oh, it's a different opportunity to learn, lead, or follow, and it's ever changing. I get this is very common, and that was my next question coming up was, a lot of people are trying to find a mentor or find someone to learn from, and how did you find your mentor, or what would you recommend for people that want to find a quality mentor in their life? How do they come correct? How do they find that person? How do they show up? What do you do?
I'll tell you that like the first thing is asking the question of like for me, I remember the first moment that I was looking for that mentor, and it's one, I made a decision, like I want a mentor. Like I
Mhm.
genuinely want someone to guide me, right? And I was willing to provide as much value as possible. Like I was like, I'll do anything. Like I remember when I first asked the question, does anyone know anyone who's actually like made it? And this is pre like YouTube, like entrepreneurs everywhere, and there's so many people online. I was 18 years old, but I just remember asking my friends, like, does anybody know anyone who's like done it like with stocks or this internet thing? And when I was able to have someone that plugged me, I was just super genuine in telling them like, hey, like I'll do whatever it takes. I'll shine your shoes. I'll get your coffee. Like whatever it is, like I just want to provide value to you so that I can learn. And if there's anything I can do whatsoever. And I actually didn't just say that, but I just actually started to do it. Like I
Mhm.
immediately started showing up and providing value. And I think a lot of people want a mentor, but they want everything handed to them. And they think that they're just entitled to have that mentor give them that wisdom and knowledge. And it's like, no, like for me, like I have someone in my house right now that wanted to get involved in my company and wants to and get mentorship. And she just figured it the fuck out how to get here. And like, I'm like, okay, that's what I'm talking about. You want to get involved and you want to learn. And she's like, I'll do whatever it takes. And she just got on a plane. She started building connections with me. And how she did that is she met me at a Mind Valley event, right? So go to these events, go to leader. That's how you met community at Leaders Create Leaders. Like go to Fit for Service, go to Mind Valley, go to there's so many dope events. Like go to these events and build relationships. And then when you find that person that you really relate to, that you connect to the way they show up, their character, their mission, you're just do whatever it takes to get in the room with them. And this person flew all the way here, was resourceful, figured out a way to get a place to stay, and they're showing up and they're providing value to me right away. And so for me, I'm like, all
Mhm.
right, I want to invest into this person. I can see
Mhm.
myself helping this individual. And so those are some things that I would recommend.
Yeah, that's gold. I love that. That's exactly what I recommend to people as well. And that's what happened with me when I was wanting that first mentor. I just showed up and started sweeping the mats. He didn't ask me to or anything else. I said, I'll sweep the mats. I'll just sweep. I'll just want to be around. And he just saw me sweep the mats enough that he was like, "You want a job?" I'm like, "You really?" Like, cool. That was sweet. And I love that. I love seeing that. What are you like? You coach a very small amount of people, right? Yours is pretty exclusive to get in the room, and I appreciate that about you. What do you say is some of the biggest gold that you give people when you want them to stand on their own 2 feet and you want them to then start serving or feel more empowered to become a leader? Because I think that's a big part of that hero's journey is, okay, now you're gonna lead, and that is service. What's that transformation? How do you groom someone, or push someone, coach someone into now, okay, now you're an agent of good. You're an agent of service
Mm.
rather than just you're trying to make it, now you give. How do you coach someone through that?
Yeah, I think it's first of all getting them really clear as to who they are first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost. We wear a lot of masks. This is why I do a lot of mask work. I take people through something called the breaking the mask ceremony, because we wear these masks, right, to our family, to our friends, on social media, and it's all this these parts of ourselves that we put out into the world to try to be liked, to be accepted, to be validated. And deep down inside, there's these parts of ourselves that we hide from others. That's truly like who we really are. And a lot of times we allow these shadows to run the operating system. And so for me, it's helping people to just to really see what are those limiting beliefs, what are these fears that are having them to put on this mask that's not who they really truly are, and help them to break that mask, to rewire, to unlearn how the things that they've gone through in their life, and rewire new beliefs around money, around love, around freedom, around the things that that are their values, and that the things that they actually stand for, and in helping them to align to those parts of themselves of what they really stand for, and to go into embodying that. And so first is like this awareness of what are these fears, what are these limiting beliefs, what are these shadows that you're putting on a mask and letting run the show, and then helping you to break that, and then to integrate a new version of you that is a leader, that is allowing that leader within you that is accepting all of you, accepting your story, where you come from, kind of like 8 Mile and Eminem, just like fully accepting everything that you've been through, and realizing that that's your superpower. All those things that you feared, all those skeletons of clowns, that's actually your superpowers that make you a superhero, and will allow you to relate and connect to others. And so it's coming into awareness and then integrating those parts of yourself that you haven't accepted, and learning how to accept those parts of you, so that then, I always say, in order to fully express yourself, you must first fully accept yourself. And then so once you come into that acceptance and you integrate those parts of yourself that you have been hiding, then it's then coming into like full embodiment of like your why, your purpose. Now it's like, let's get clear on like, what is it that you really want to create in the world? Like, who do you really want to serve? And why you? What is it about you that's perfectly aligned to serving that demographic, uniquely that path, and for who you're meant to help? And then, from there, helping them to build a movement around their message, helping them to build that business around that calling. And to me, I think that's kind of the pathway that I take people through. And there's many different modalities that we work through, whether it's storytelling is a big one that I've always been passionate about. I just think that storytelling is similar to like meditation or breath work. It's like when we learn to own our story and go into that's what I call the leader's journey of what you've struggled in your life, what are those shadows, what are the shifts you made, and then how that leads to service. And we kind of help to frame a new your actual sacred story. That's like a modality that we take you through. And then there's obviously breath work and meditation and human design and understanding who you are, what makes you unique. So all these different frameworks that we take people through in the mastermind, and then just recrafting your brand now, like recrafting yourself, how you're going to put yourself into the world to magnetize the people that you're meant to serve. And then that's when my genius of like business building comes in, because I love business. And so that's when I start to help to craft the business infrastructure around that authentic version of you.
Yeah, I love that. That's gold. Yeah, that's exactly kind of the journey that I had been on and in serving now. And I think it's super important. What I love about you was this spiritual element when we got to actually meet in person and jam. And I wanted to know, was that always a part of you? When you were stating, like, this connection to God. And I find so many high level successful entrepreneurs I'm around tend to be quite spiritual people. And the ones that have lasting success that are actually ended up building I've been around a bunch of ballers that didn't give a shit and they're just tossing money around. I've been through that. I get it. And that just always makes me feel icky after. But then when I'm around guys like you and a bunch of the people I'm close with, it's a spiritual connection. They're tapping into something else. And was that, when you were stockbrokering, when you were in that game, penthouses and blowing money, was there a spiritual aspect? Young man, lots of money, young, hood rich is what I called it, right?
Yeah.
And then the maturing, losing it all, humbling yourself a bit, getting it back again. What was your spiritual journey like, and what's it like now and connected to business?
Yeah, bro. Oh man, it's definitely changed so much. For one, I will say though that I've always had faith. I
Mm.
was named after a saint, Saint Gerard, who's a saint of known to be a saint of mothers and children. And I grew up with this name passed down to me. My father's middle name is Gerard, and I would go to church growing up, where it was the church was um, the national shrine of this Saint Gerard that came from Italy, came from a village of where my great grandparents were from, and he was a devoted follower of Jesus Christ and would go around and like really support women who were expecting or wanted to get pregnant, and then children who were sick, like children who couldn't walk or speak. He would somehow create these miracles of like helping to heal these children, and so. When I inherited this name, and every year my dad, he would support this particular festival called the St. Gerard Feast. And there's these men that would wear to this day, it's over 100-year tradition of these men that would wear these specific jackets. And my dad has this jacket, and they're like called the Guard of Honor. And they pretty much protect the church. It's like a very mafia, like Tony Soprano kind of feel. It's just really cool, man. There should be it's definitely it should be like a movie. But growing up,
Yeah.
seeing my father wear this jacket and like carry the saint out of the church, and and there was this old Italian festival. Like as a kid growing up, my whole life to this day, every year I go and support as a young
Cool.
leader for this procession. And so I've always had this connection to my faith through that, but like it was very religious, and so
One
like
second.
my
One second.
sure.
I just gotta say, my theory of you being the DILF of the year and your name connected to the saint of mothers and kids helping mothers. I just want to say, man, story checks out. That story checks out pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, bro. I feel you, man. And what's
That's gonna be
interesting
the
is,
title
dude,
of
I
the
never
show.
I never talk about this. Like this is actually
Yeah,
probably something I don't even think I've ever talked about publicly on a
cool.
podcast before. Um, and so like that's Saint Gerard has been something that I I carry with me everywhere. I've always prayed to Saint Gerard. And but I didn't have this spiritual connection to my own relationship to God. It was just more so growing up. It was just kind of in the church, and saying my Our Father, and growing up Catholic, and these type of things that were it kind of inherited, but I didn't realize that I didn't have my own personal connection to God. And it didn't until I sold my company, and all of a sudden I got invited into working with plant medicine, that I like, whoa, like now I actually experience God. Like God is this real thing that is not just what I've been told to do, but it's like I've actually experienced this feeling of God, and this Holy Spirit, and this yeah, man, it's hard to explain. It's hard to put into words. It's like, whoa, it just became really real to me, and my relationship to Jesus became even more serious because I started having experiences with Jesus Christ. And, I'm in this, it's really evolved where I'm in this unique place that's been hard to get to, where it's like, it's because I've been like grown up Catholic. Then I got introduced to like psychedelics and plant medicine, and went like really far into that work. Right. And I was like, well, where am I in my spiritual journey, and then becoming a dad, it really helped to hone in what are my spiritual beliefs, because now it's not just for me, but I also have a child, and like aligning with Ashley, my beloved partner. And I got really clear, bro, that like, everyone has their own system and their own spiritual beliefs that work for them. For me, I'm a devoted follower of Jesus Christ, and I work with psychedelics and plant medicine, and I also I do believe in oneness, and I do understand the interconnectedness of all. And Jesus is my North Star. He is the one that I has helped keep me grounded in all of my ceremonies. And yet I still believe in using these modalities like meditation and breath work, and these sacred plant medicines that have been around for thousands, if not millions of years that actually have, been shown to impact what became Christianity. And I just think that there's such deep ancient wisdom that I just feel like, yes, it can be dangerous. And I highly recommend that you don't work with these modalities, these plant medicines, without the utmost reverence and safety, and making sure that you're working with them in a very intentional way, because things can come in and it can alter things in a negative way if you're not careful. And so for me, I've had to learn, and I'm still learning the ways to work with these medicines in a sacred way. But I am someone who is, I'm still learning how to make sure that for me, like, everything I'm doing is through the lens of spirit. Before 33 years old, I was activated through the ego mind. And that's why I was creating a lot of ego success.
Mm-hmm.
And it was with the beginning of plant medicine, 5-MeO DMT, grandmother ayahuasca, that I started to recreate a relationship with God that allowed me to find wholeness within myself and start to operate from a new place and a new lens, that with this new knowing that, like, God is real, and now just completely surrendering and trusting in God's plan and operating from that place of spirit beyond anything else.
That's so dope. I fuck with that on so many levels. I absolutely love that. And that brought me to where I wanted to stay. It was, you mentioned the ego success, and you shifted at 33. You're Jesus here. And that's beautiful. That's like the year I had I almost died. I did have a rebirth at 33. So literally when I got hit by the truck, I was 33. And so to see
Wow.
that all shift around, then there's the ego success. So you're building for ego success, and then going into spiritual success. What would you call it now? Because I
Yeah.
totally got that out of you, and I loved that. So yeah, what's that like? How does that
Yeah,
work out?
where I'm at now is kind of, great question, is integrating there. My friend posted a post about this idea of integrated wisdom, and I thought it was really powerful, because it's really aligning the head with the heart. And so for me, for one, spiritual success first and foremost is internal, and it's creating, because at the end of the day, like, what do we really want, right? You can say $1 million, $1 billion, you want this house, you want all these external things, but really that's not what it is. It's the feeling that those things give us. It's the freedom isn't just time freedom or financial freedom, doing what you want, when you want, how you want. It's the inner freedom of, like, man, no matter what, like, I love myself, like, I'm whole, like, I don't need anything else, because I know that I am whole. I am a miracle as it is. Like, I got life, and just the opportunity to just be grateful for this amazing life that I have. And for me, I feel like it's from that place of just, like, man, I love myself. And because I didn't really understand the idea of self-love, but, like, from that
Mm.
place of, like, really loving yourself, like, really accepting yourself. And I've had to do some, like, deep mirror work, and I'm still doing that work, like, reconnecting to my inner child, but, coming into that full acceptance of myself and loving of myself. From that place, I'm no longer operating from needing validation, needing to prove myself, needing the $1 million or the house or the thing in order for me to feel worthy, to feel enough. And so I think spiritual success is operating from a place of knowing you're enough, knowing you're worthy just as you are fully,
Mm.
and now going out and then integrating, because you can still have the $1 million, the $1 billion. Like, for me, what I love about Leaders Create Leaders is, like, I'm looking to not just create the spiritual success. I feel like it's both. It's the leading with the spiritual success of the inner freedom, but also helping those conscious leaders to create the outer freedom as well. Because there's a lot of people also that I know that are, very liberated, yet they don't know, how do I take this purpose though and actually actualize it into creating much more impact and income and influence in the world. And I really want to be a bridge to those leaders that get to have it all, that get to create that inner success, but also can also still integrate having the outer success as well, and not feeling ashamed of that too.
Definitely, I think we deserve to have. I still like nice shit. I
Right.
lived in Ubud, Bali for 3 years, the capital of broke hippies that are on their spiritual path. Like that's the epicenter. I was in it, and then I was like, wait a minute, I like nice shit still. I still want to have Benz. I
Yeah.
still want to, I still want it, but I want to be of service and helping the world. So I think it's really important though, because that's just an extension of your spiritual practice is how much can you actually actualize, can you
Yeah.
spiritually be actionable, and I think that's really important. IG. So I got another question. I was thinking, what would you say to people who don't think that they're a leader? There's no leader in me. I don't know if I'm just a follower. I'm just not the leader type. What would you say to people like that are thinking that?
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I feel like we have a epidemic of people that have just become followers and follow suit. And, I think we all see that with social media, how many of us have just been like craving followers and following each other. And I think now is the time for you to think about how you can lead your own life, and really not get so caught into the comparison or the imposter syndrome of what you think a leader needs to be. I feel like we all have the opportunity to step up and be that leader. I think we're born as leaders because God has given us the free will, and there's just an opportunity to take full ownership and responsibility for your life. Like nobody else is gonna make it happen for you. And I think the moment that we can just realize that we have one life, one opportunity, and it's just, it's your life. So I think just tapping into empowering yourself to really choose how you want to use your time while on this planet, and do it in a way that brings you joy, that brings you fulfillment, that is kind, that is compassionate, that touches other people's hearts, and that ultimately is just you being you. I think the type of leaders that we need now are not the old school leaders that are just going out and demanding how it's supposed to be done. Like we need compassionate leaders and authentic leaders that are great listeners, not just ones that are going out there and just boasting and telling people how to live their life. Like, no, like it's about you just being an example of being yourself, and again, like coming back to like loving yourself, and then allowing that to then outpour into everyone else around you, where you just raise people's vibrations and you care for others. You want to see what's the best in others, and you're willing to, just go after your dreams and believe in yourself. And that's for me, is like tapping into that leader within, is just every day waking up and setting myself up to win. And leading myself looks like making my bed, and taking the time to make sure that I prioritize my prayer and prioritize meditating and journaling and listening even to myself. Like what do I really want? Asking myself the tough questions and tapping into what does bring me joy, and making decisions that are in alignment to my values, in alignment to what I truly desire, even if it's it may not make sense to others, but choosing that what feels in alignment for myself. And I think that's the opportunity for us to come into that alignment for ourselves. And when we can do that, that's when we can start to lead others, by just being the example, because we can't really tell people how to live their life. Like I'll never know what it was like to be Aren growing up and walk a day in your shoes. But I do know that by me living my authentic life and by me being myself, ultimately that can inspire you to tap more into what will bring you happiness, and what will allow you to get closer to going after your dreams, And for me, that's it. I just want to lead my life in the way that feels the most aligned, and hopefully inspire others to do the same for themselves.
That's super dope. And you sort of answered what the next question I had was, what are the gains that you get from becoming a leader? And you answer that with, you get alignment within yourself. And if you're able to lead yourself and walk your own path and do your own thing, then you can lead others. But you then are having direction, alignment, purpose. There's so many benefits to being like, I'm going to be a leader. It doesn't mean, you need to be anything you're not. It just means taking more direction in your life. Like if you could add anything to that of, okay, somebody who's maybe they're a little introverted, or, maybe they're just like, I don't know if I'm the leadership type, but what are the forms and shapes of leadership for the people who, aren't loud, audacious, extroverted, tattooed Indian men, or everyone else?
Yeah, there's a really great book I recommend, I believe it's Primal Leadership, and it goes in different archetypes, right? And it's just, I think that there are different ways to lead, and just figuring out what is the way that feels natural to you. And if that's ultimately being a better listener and being the person that can hold space, is that by you being someone that takes bold action and is able to lead from the front lines? Is it you being a great supporter? I feel like I look at Leaders Create Leaders as about like all of us creating leaders within our teams. I empower my team to all be leaders in their own right. And so it's like being clear as to what role you want to play. What role do you want to play, and how can you play that role to the best of your ability? And I think it's about tapping into that innate inner genius that, if you're listening to this, you have a superpower about you. And I think that it's about like getting really clear as to what that superpower is and being the best that you can possibly be at that thing. And that's leadership. And I think leadership is also just about caring, like just really fucking caring about the people in your life, and asking them questions about what makes them happy, or what are their dreams, and just supporting others, whether it's your employees, whether it's your friends, whether it's family, but like just supporting people in making their dreams a reality, and finding that joy within themselves. And I think I think there's different ways to lead. And yeah, I feel it's both from the front end and from being a great listener. And it's about also knowing, and it's like knowing when to follow, and it's also knowing when to step in the front and be the first to take action and to take that risk and take that leap of faith, and being okay with failing and being okay with making mistakes, that and just leading and saying, hey, that's all right. I'm just going to continue to learn and gain experience. Even if it doesn't work, that's all right. I'm going to keep, it's like I always tell my team, if you're not making mistakes, we're not moving forward. So it's like just continuing to step forward every single day, because life is tough, and leading just looks like, hey, how can you focus on the present? How can we make today great? How can I make a difference today? What is one thing that I can do to move my dream forward? What is something I can do today to, pour into the people around me that I love? What's something that I can do for myself to make myself healthier mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially? And so it's every day making efforts to be 1% better.
I love that. Absolutely. It's those small little steps, and that's what's really driven my life. Definitely is just a little bit, just do a little bit better. And then it'll stack up over time, and you're not a crazy person anymore. And I love to see just how well you've collated a body of work in leadership. And it was so dope being in Leaders Create Leaders to see that end of it, the flow and the direction, and then the connection and people. And I think that's it. Tribe. That was the most beautiful thing. That was my biggest takeaway from that entire retreat. It was people. Like, just, we need people. And how do you want to show up in that group, and then make sure you connect and also upkeep relationships, like, and so that provide value thing's important. Like if I have a connect, I'll message you. I'll be like, bro, I got this connect. This is good. This one worked out, or something like that, just because you want to share it with your people. And that's so important. I find is a collaboration, not a competition type of leadership as well. Because I see another leader in you. I'm like, oh, cool. Like we're both leaders. We can lead our own flocks, but also in charge of the betterment of all. And I think that's what people need to be stepping up and doing, is like, okay, we all need to lead right now, because life is hard. You're right. Shit is crazy out there. So us capable human beings, us, switched on, capable human beings that just want good things to happen for others, we need to lead together. And that's one thing I'm super passionate about now, is we got to stick together, man. We got to stick together.
Yeah, we rise together, and it's like, it's so true that, we are an extension of like the 5 people that we hang around with most. And so that's why I'm constantly auditing my friends and auditing like who is in my circle of influence, and, being intentional with creating tribe and creating community and the relationships that I'm building, because it's so important. We rise when we're surrounding ourselves with others that are empowering us, that are challenging us, that want to see us win. If your friends are not cheering you on, if they're not celebrating you, if they're not challenging you, if they're not empowering you, then it's like, okay, it's time to move on and find new relationships that are going to help you to grow. And it doesn't mean you're not going to still love your friends that you grew up with. I still love, so many of the homies that I grew up with. I'm still super close with so many of my friends. And I had to make a conscious decision. It was like, yo, I need to build some new relationships out here that are doing the work, the inner work, that are getting spiritually aligned, that do want to play real fucking big and play the infinite game, and that are going to challenge me, that like when I'm in crisis, I can call them and they're not just going to yes me. They're going to challenge me. They're going to give me new perspectives, and they're going to build me up. They're going to see the best in me, and they're going to cheer me on, man. And sometimes we need those words of affirmations. And so, I think that's one of the greatest reasons why to go to these retreats, go to these masterminds, is like you hit the nail on the head, is the relationships. And, yeah, bro, it's just so cool, because within Leaders Create Leaders, I try to give everyone an opportunity to lead. That's why I kind of take a step back. I'm like, I want everyone to have, because every single one of us is a leader in our own right, and we can make an impact in people. And it's just figuring out what is that uniqueness about you that makes you special, that makes you the superhero. You look at X-Men, it's like every superhero, Cyclops has got the Vision, you got Wolverine over here, you got Storm with the lightning, you got, you have all these different superheroes. If you look at the Avengers, you look at all these cool superheroes, and I look at what's going on right now in our generation. I just see so many dope superheroes, and I just want to help these superheroes to harness their gift and then direct that gift in a way that's going to help to expand the hearts and consciousness of this planet. And so that's what it's about, bro.
Oh, I love it. Let's be superheroes together. This is a vibe. Man, closing out, I had like a funny idea in my head. It just made me really happy to see you in your Bentley. I love that car. That's one of my favorite cars, with your daughter, your beautiful, beautiful daughter, your beautiful wife, and listening to Chris Brown, Look at Me Now. And then like, and then it's directed at those guys who like sucker punched you and bullied you, and be like, look at me now. And I'm like, that's like, that made me really happy.
Oh, man. Thanks, dude. I'll never forget when I went to my high school reunion, dude. That was the weirdest thing ever. I don't know if anyone has ever done their high school reunion, and it's like, for me at least, it was like, man, like just remembering how much people doubted me, how much I got bullied, jumped.
Oh shit.
Just all the things, man, and just like becoming the first millionaire in my school was just like, I just remember when I got there, it was just like, whoa, holy shit, like. And it's true, man. Those same people that hate on you are one day going to ask you how you did it. And that's been my life, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. How did it feel? Was it a bit of a flex? Like, did it feel good? Or like, what was it like that
honestly, I was a little like shy, dude. I was a little like the little boy in me, I still need some inner child healing. Like the little boy in me was still like, I don't feel like I belong, like I felt like I still felt like it brought up a lot for me of still feeling so different and feeling still like the outcast. But I got to admit, it felt a little better feeling all that way and still knowing that, like, you know, it reminded me of like, wow, how far I've come. And that felt
Yeah.
good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like being able to do certain things, like pay off my parents' mortgage and write $50,000 checks to people in my family, and, you know, surprise my sister with a car when she couldn't afford a car, her first car. Like I surprised her with her dream car, and just things that, like, yo, it's just like, yo, giving to people you love like that is the best feeling in the world. Flying all my like real friends, you know, flying them all to Miami and putting them on a super yacht, and, you know, taking jet skis out, and, you know, all the things, bro, like getting supercars for all my friends, you know, just that kind of shit is just like, it's the best feeling. It's the best feeling. And that, I think, is part of it. I think that when I did my high school reunion, though, I still didn't have I still didn't go through my own inner healing, you know? And so even though all that stuff felt really great, and no regrets, I love all that. I honestly, like we talked about earlier, bro, the best was when I got to detach from all of it, man, and reconnect to little Gerard, to Jeezy. And, you know, like that was
I love
it
that.
for me.
Man, I just love that. Yeah, the thing that I loved the most about you is like your heart and your vulnerability and how you'd show up, and it was just so real, and that you did not at all have this like cocky, audacious, like in a bad way. Like you didn't have any this ego. I feel like, you know, you're around other people that you're like, oh, he's been in practice for a while, and you can feel that you show up, and it's just like love. And that's what I really loved about you. When we first hugged, when I first saw you, we were hella late for that retreat because the address was all messed up. We went the wrong way. We're in this crazy road out, out in Tulum, like way out there, right? So it was nuts. We were out there for like an hour trying to find the place in the jungle. So we showed up like, you know, an hour late to the first opening ceremony, you know, to open the retreat. So we were like stressed. Like the whole car vibe was like, man, two cars following each other. We're hella late, right? And then the first thing I come up, you came and hugged me first, and I was like, all right, it's all good. And that was really sweet. You know, I felt welcomed. I felt good. It was like, okay, we're good, that you bring that type of leadership energy. And I really respect that in you as a leader. You know, I saw that same thing in Aubrey Marcus. He came and gave me a big hug, and I was just like, damn, that's the type of leader I want to be. It inspires me to lead with heart, you know, and not this ego shit. It's just, that's the strongest thing that we do have, is that heart. And you have a big one. And it shows what you have in your life and how you treat the people you love. And I'm like, yeah, that's the way. So thank you for inspiring me, bro. I really appreciate that.
Dude, I fully receive that, dude. Like, man, just, bro, we need those compassionate leaders in the world. And it took me a long time to really learn that. But we're starting a new world right now. Leaders like you, and if you're listening to this still, you know, I know you're like us, you know, you're stepping into that new paradigm of the way that we're building businesses and the way that we're leading communities, leading in our homes, the way that we're the new ancestors is just, it's really beautiful to see, man. We're coming back to love. We're coming back to the simplicity of who we really are at the core. And so, man, it's an honor to know you, man. We have so much dope shit to do together. I can't wait to see you again. And
me too.
We're considering coming to Bali for a Create Leaders retreat, and so definitely looking forward to you being a leader within that retreat. So yeah, bro,
I'm so excited about that. You know, I got you on lock in Bali, of course, man. I got you. That'd be amazing. You come, I'll hook you up with some tattoos at my shop. We'll get you in. Man, I love that. And I definitely highly recommend anybody listening, check out Leaders Create Leaders. G, you got a book coming out too, right?
I've been working on it now for a while. I got more than one book and it's crazy to have the journey of writing this book, man. It's just there's one book that came together, and then it evolved into a second book, and so we'll see which the publishers take first. But yeah, man, coming soon, 2024. I'm definitely gonna have my book coming out into the world, so stay tuned for that. And it's something I just didn't want to do just for, like, you know, a lot of people write books for I don't know, flex, whatever, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's like, I really wanted to be something that's like an heirloom that I'm proud of, man. Like, so I'm
Yeah.
taking my time with it, but stay tuned. It's gonna be really powerful.
I'm super excited about it. And, anybody listening, please, if you found value out of this, share it, to share the message of becoming, a deeper leader, because leaders are needed in this world. We're needed, conscious leaders. We got to stick together, and we also got to inspire more to jump on the path to make the world a better place and lead with heart. So, this is a free podcast. I do it for free. G came on for free. His time is extremely valuable, flexing that for sure. So to have him on, I'm really, really grateful. And that is something that, please share this so we can get more people like us to band together to make a difference. So please, I ask you, give it a share, follow G, go to Leaders Create Leaders. Definitely check that out. That is super worth it. And keep walking the path with us. Thank you for listening, everybody. G, I love you, bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate you.
Love you too, brother.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Ink Pray Love podcast. I hope you found it inspiring, entertaining, funny, and also feeling a little bit more present and connected to yourself. Please leave a review and like and subscribe and do all those things. I'd really appreciate that. As well as, if you're feeling in a giving mood, this podcast is there for the charities that I love to support. Go to www.arenbahia.com/charity and get some of those good karma points. This podcast is brought to you by Lighthouse Studios in Bali, as well as Full Reset Coaching. That is my coaching practice. And if you're looking for help in business, inner game impact, and building your legacy to be something you're proud of, your brand, your business, and how you walk the earth and who you impact, and also having the mindset and the heart set to be able to be happy handling it all, I'm here for you. Just DM me. Let's go. Peace out, homies. I'll see you on the next episode.